Okay, we are starting Unit 3. I told her to leave the door open. Now she's going to have to knock and someone's going to have to open it. Okay. When you get ready to open the door when she comes back. Unit 3 is all about prosperity and economics. Okay. Some of the curricular outcomes here, these are all posted on Google Classroom, so you have this. You also have it on your slides. All of this stuff is new. I made this in August, so that's why we don't have fill in the blanks. And because fill in the blank is silly, because you don't learn anything. Okay? Now, not that you'll learn much sitting there doing nothing, but you have an opportunity. So we look at it, we're first going to look at the history of wealth and trade, and we just did our, I'm saying this for the sake of the camera, okay? I'm not going crazy like I forgot what we just did. Okay, a lot of you answered this question about what is a wealthy person, the description. A lot of you focused on possessions, a lot of you focused on money, some of you focused on familiar relationships, some of you focused on skill sets, some of you focused on how that wealth changes a person, their personality. I would love to hear all of your responses, but you kids are a little shy, that's okay. So my response to, what is a wealthy person would include things like they have, control over their time. So to your question, is Andrew Tate wealthy or is he rich? Well, I would say he's rich. He seems to have a lot of money, but if you listen to him, he has openly said he basically wakes up and he starts working, which sounds terrible, like in bed, on the phone, doing his work from his phone. That sounds terrible, okay? So someone who has a lot of control over their time, someone who has good relationships, whether it be through their family, through their friends, through their community, but their wealth, so to speak, is also distributed in their community and their social relationships as well. Obviously, some degree of money as well, because you can't pay your bills with smiles, okay, and high fives. Sadly, because I'd be set, it'd be great, okay. And those are three main things. So again, some degree of control over their time, good social relationships. Enough money to pay their bills and their expenses so they can get by and live, decently. Not necessarily luxuriously, no private jets and first class flights and vacations all the time, but to not have to worry about their bills. Also, I would add in health, which apparently now is fascist to say, right? Like a healthy body, a healthy mind. No amount of money can solve that problem for you, right? So you mentioned a point about wealthy people are happier. Not always. Right, a lot of really wealthy people, when they talk about their life, they have to sacrifice things like their relationship with their kids, maybe multiple relationships with multiple wives and divorces and whatnot, and many of them might have sacrificed their health along the way. And a lot of time gets spent building wealth, all of which you can't really get back easily, right? So I would include those things. But one of the things that I have done in this new unit when I remade it is look into the etymology of words. Do you understand what this word means? Etymology. It essentially refers to. What have you said? What did you say? It could be. It's a bit of further detail. It's about the history of a word. So a lot of you. So here's just some definitions of what the word wealth means. This is on your sheet of paper, which you could have used to help answer your question. So if you just go to Google and say define wealth, it says an abundance of valuable possession. Okay, so it could be like cars, it could be houses, whatever, clothes, or money, right? It's a very materialistic response. If you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, wealth is an abundance of valuable material possessions or resources, an abundant supply, which is what some of you talked about, that just having a large quantity of a thing, so you can be wealthy in the amount of chocolate you have. All property that has a money value or an exchangeable value, and all materials that have economic utility. So again, that definition is very material based. It's very item based. Right. Thank you for opening the door. If you look at the etymology of the word, wealth is derived from I think it's a Welsh word. I forget, but it's derived from the word wheel, W-E-A-L, I think that's how you say it, which refers to a sound, healthy, or prosperous state. Okay, so do we understand what that means? Like being sound? Not sound you hear like outside, but being sound. Do you understand what that means? You're to some extent, you're physically safe. Maybe you're mentally safe and emotionally safe, psychologically, right? Safe and sound, right? Healthy. So historically, wealth might have been associated with health as well. And I'm sure there's some cliche saying that wealth is health or health is wealth, right? Because think about, and many of you are sick. For anyone who got very sick recently, what's the one thing you wanted when you were sick? To be better, right? To be healthy, right? Many sick people who are very wealthy but they're dying due to their sickness, they would pay all their money to solve that illness. Any of you seen the Wolverine movie that takes place in Japan?
Yeah.
Right? That old guy, he's dying, he's very sick, and he pours all the money from the company into fixing his own health, solving his problem, right? So being healthy is also very important, tied into wealth, right? Because what would you rather have, like $1 million and be sick all the time like you were maybe a week ago? Or would you rather be healthy and live a decent life?
Yeah.
I want that $1 million, man.
And you're sick every day of your life, just
Every day of my
miserably
life.
sick.
I couldn't care less.
I would not like that.
Right? People who've been sick and dying and very hurting, it's like, man, nothing beats good health, right? A prosperous state, so that might refer to the actual state, the country. It might refer to yourself, so being prosperous, so prosperity, right? What does that word mean? Do you have an idea?
You're prosperous, you're growing, you're succeeding, isn't it?
Wait, there's a cat out there. I thought you said cow.
That's a cat. Oh yeah,
There's a cat out there.
He's a kitty.
That's wonderful. Maybe it'll eat the mice that keep coming into the school. Okay. What is prosperity? What does it mean when someone's prosperous? Anyone? It means they're doing well, right? More or less. They're doing all right. They're prospering, right? They're not surviving. They're a little bit more. They're thriving, perhaps. Okay. And when you go even further back in the meaning of the word, it comes from a word called wealth, which means in a state of good fortune, welfare, or happiness. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like over time, our understanding of what a wealthy person is, what wealth is, has shifted to just material possession, right? As if money is kind of the end all be all, right? Did anyone else who didn't talk about their response, did anyone else include family or social relationships, friendships in the response? Couple other people, right? Did anyone else include skills, that a wealthy person is someone who's knowledgeable and skilled? You did as well. And you didn't want to share. That's so sad. That's so awesome. Okay. How many of you focus just on this person has money, they have possessions? Just out of curiosity. Raise your hand, come on.
Wait.
No, some of you who did that didn't even raise your hands. That's messed up.
What?
You're lying.
Wait, what? What did you say?
You focus primarily just on wealth, on like money and possessions for your response,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right. So I'm just trying to connect here that historically wealth has been thought of very differently. Okay? And so we'll look into the history of what is this section called again? The history of wealth and trade. So first, looking at the timeline and evolution of humans, you have hunter-gatherer societies. Have we heard this phrase before? Yeah. You should all be saying yes, because I refer to these groups of people all the time, right? Just a little bit of information at the top. So they existed from 2 million years ago until the modern day. There are still hunter-gatherer societies alive to this day. Maybe not so much in Canada, North America, and Europe, but parts of Asia, parts of South America I'm aware of, and parts of Africa. There are groups that still primarily they just hunt their food or they gather, right? They don't grow food and they're not modernized like us, right? So they don't sit in a desk for 8 to 9 hours a day under artificial light and you know, push pencils into sharpeners and whatnot, right? They survive every day. These groups, over the last 2 million years, this has gone through various forms of humanoids as well. I'll use that phrase, which, you know, I understand we're in a Catholic school and I don't know how Catholics feel about evolution, but you know, the fossil record does exist. So they live in small communities, they hunted for their food. So as you can imagine, you know, due to the nature of their way of life, wealth wouldn't have been a money sort of thing. Like money is a very new concept, maybe the last few thousand years. For example, Homo sapiens, so our species of humans, has been around for about 200 to 300,000 years. Money, as we understand it, is very modern, very maybe like last 10, 15,000 years, if that. In hunter-gatherer societies, what is valuable, what is considered as wealth, might be social relationships. Right? So how well do you get along with the people in your group, in your tribe? So you can think of that right now, like how well do you get along with the people in your grade? Because some of you might be able to talk and hang out with different, cliques, as we used to call them, but some of you might be very isolated into your own group, right? And if you were a hunter-gatherer, if you're kind of isolated in that regard, you're not wealthy at all, and your survival is at risk, right? You're more likely to die. Yes, you have a question? Yes, you may. Just walk around the back. Leave the door open when you go, okay? Sharing would have been very important as well, right? For human societies when they were, surviving based off what they could hunt and gather from the land. Being able to share is very important, right? That extends into your social relationships. So if we were a tribe and one of us was very good at hunting because maybe they had really good hand-eye coordination, could throw a spear really far, but that person never shared food with any of you, would they be well liked? Probably not, right? You're gonna eat a whole bison by yourself?
Yes.
Right? Imagine like 500 pounds of meat, right? A freezer full of meat every time.